Greetings, everyone. Well, it is Wednesday, December 17th, and I'm hosting the Happy Executive Pop Up Live. I'm delighted to be here with you. Today, we have a very special guest that is scheduled, and he is the author. I know it's backwards. I wish there was a way to turn that around. But he is the author of AI Security Under Fire. His name is Corey Lancaster. Now, he should be popping on any moment. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is let's see, what I'm going to do. I hope this is recording. I know we're on LinkedIn Live, but my streaming service has changed a little bit. They've upgraded some of the capabilities, which I appreciate, but there was never a record button there before. It just auto record it and then download it. But anyways, I just wanted to give you a brief intro before our guest pops on today. And it's interesting because the content that he has written about in this book is exactly what CEOs and founders need to focus on in the world of AI. Okay, so to give you a perspective, I've been using automation since 2008. And obviously, as the time has gone by, there has been more AI that has been implemented. We use technology so that we can help CEOs and founders to be heard, get seen, and earn more revenue and recognition at the Happy Executive. Okay. However, having said that about technology, the fact is that there still has to be a human in the loop. There still has to be that organic outreach. That's what we teach. And what I really, really like about Corey's wisdom and what he has written about really is about just cutting down the hype. Because, I feel that more and more as more apps are developed, as more apps are launched, LLMs, whether they're, custom or they're built, publicly, whatever the case is, there is a lot of hype. And I've noticed that there have been two different kinds of CEOs and founders in the world today, and I'd love to know your experience. But one type are the ones that will just dive in. They're all in, right? For the AI or for the new trends. And then there is another group that we recognize that is very cautious and maybe a bit overwhelmed with the whole AI world. And the thing is, it's usually those people that are a bit overwhelmed by the AI world. It's usually because they may themselves have limited knowledge of the technology, and they may have had a not so great experience with maybe another provider. One of the most extreme cases that I can tell you about here before our guest jumps on is a situation where there was a CEO And his company has been in existence for 20 plus years. Okay, so it's not a startup, very well established business. What happened this year was he decided that he was going to go all in with AI. He gamified that tactic, strategy, whatever you want to call it. He gamified it and challenged his employees to go out and look for different apps, different tools that could potentially help them to scale. Okay. Now, just as a point of reference, this company was already at right around like the 18 million mark. Okay. So with that being said, the idea was good. The intention was good per se. However, what happened was there was no security guard. There was no fractional cybersecurity professional. And the reason why I use that as an example is Corey Lancaster just recently launched an amazing organization that is going to be able to help small and medium sized businesses all the way up through enterprise at a fraction of the cost. So, meaning his organization is going to be able to be that security guard, that cybersecurity professional. And his company is called CAAS. It's CISO as a service. And the reason why that's important is if you do not have some type of advisory individual or a team of advisory individuals, then you, as the CEO or founder, are going to find yourself at risk for having some constraints potentially in different parts of your business. You could also have many failed projects that result from maybe implementing some AI apps, some third party apps that maybe weren't vetted properly. So it's very advisable that you have the right team, the right individual that can help you to plan accordingly. And the example that I was giving you, even though the intentions were great, and this happened to be the CEO that was going to be all in, like that was actually his main goal for 2025 was to go out and have as many AI apps and tools that would make sense to their business implemented in their business before the end of the year. Okay. Unfortunately, what happened in that company case was the apps and the AI and the different tools, many were added on. Okay. But they weren't fully integrated. There were many that were colliding. Many constraints were developed as a result of not vetting. And the core finding was that sales were down by 40%. 40%. Okay. That's significant. So an $18 million company was then toggling right around, I think it was, he said, like between 10.5 and 11 million. Now, in that particular case, I believe that a lot of CEOs and founders have discovered that their sales may be down. Their sales may have been down last year. Their sales may be down this year. And some of the ones, of course, we're talking about exponential growth. Okay. But in this particular case study, I wanted to use that as an example, because if we don't implement and fully integrate, okay, the tools that are really going to help your business, then you could have side effects. You could have the constraints. And while tools, of course, are supposed to help, they can also hurt. And we all know that. And so I like to use that as an example, because of the fact that if you approach this the best way possible, which I advise making sure that you have the right team of people involved on a fractional basis, even. You can decide if you want, want to hire a team of people, permanently, of course, but you can start on a fractional basis. And that is a great win-win-win, because then you get, in this case, who we're speaking about here with CAAS, you get the enterprise knowledge for your small to medium sized business, and you're paying a fraction of the cost. So it's going to become even more and more important in today's world, because the risks, as we all know, are rising. We know that there are data breaches, and the data breaches can be so serious that they could actually be the cause of companies going out of business. Over the years, I've worked with many different companies and witnessed different case studies of of companies that were not appropriately set up for the cybersecurity risks. And then, a law firm may have a security breach, and sometimes they're not recoverable. And so if you approach it from the CEO founder standpoint, that you want to make sure that you have the architecture in place, and you have you're implementing the right things, then you should be having a fractional, at minimum, a fractional CISO, so that that individual or team of individuals can actually look and vet and make sure that the recommendation is appropriate. And one of the things that we've found to be extremely helpful with our clients are doing audits. The audit can cover some of the AI if they already have AI, or in the case of the other group of CEOs and founders that we've been working with, the ones that have resisted a bit from going all in and, you know, i- integrating or even considering adding any kind of AI into their workflows. So, keeping in mind those two types of CEOs and founders, it's super important that where you are. Where is your company from a technology perspective? And if we do it based on the departments, one of the things we hear frequently is lead generation. So many times CEOs and founders say, I don't have enough leads. When in reality, sometimes they do have enough leads, but it's a matter of what are they doing with those leads to convert those to qualified prospects and buying clients, right? Other times there may be a volume issue where companies, their pipelines have dried up. They don't have enough leads. Okay. And those two approaches on how we would solve those would be completely different, right? So as I'm speaking about, you know, Corey and his company and really cutting through the hype, one of the biggest and most valuable action steps that can be taken would be having an audit of your systems. And, that would be something that Corey's company could definitely help with. Uh, I've noticed that a lot of different organizations, my colleagues, are doing audits with different timeframes. We tend to do 2 to 3 week sprints along with the audit. And then we're set up a little bit differently because we are focusing not only on getting clear of where the company is and where they want to be, but we are focusing on actually implementing and integrating those services into our clients because we feel that obviously the integration is a critical step. And when we're talking about various workflows, and as the case study example I gave you earlier, 20 plus years in business, there are workflows that have been existing for, in that case, 20 years. Okay. So we need to approach every client as a unique standalone organization. And, we do not believe that any organization, that it can be a cookie cutter approach because there are so many different variables. If you're talking about franchises, there may be some core elements, of course, that could be the same in every single franchise. But, depending on where they are, the state laws, what industry, what vertical they're in, those things all play into it. I know that when I had my caregiving agency, when I first started, the first 8 years, I was functioning as part of a franchise. The one thing, when I opened my doors in August of 2008, the one thing that the franchisor could not help me with were the state laws in Illinois. Now, I guess I didn't ask that question, before I purchased the franchise. Didn't really matter because it was going to be important anyways. But the franchisor's support was not able to, and nor would it be feasible to stay up on all of the state laws. 50 states, different home care laws. Some laws were some laws were in effect. Other states did not have home care laws. So it varied. So it didn't make sense for the franchisor to be up from the operational standpoints and all the changes in the laws. Okay. But regardless of that, startups, existing companies, legacy organizations, it's important to look at each one as individual so that we don't miss anything. And even if you are a multi-location business, there may be some locations that are doing business a little bit differently. So that's why an audit is super important. Now, I believe that there may have been a tech issue possibly with our guest today. So I'm just kind of pinch hitting and want to make sure that I add value to you for watching this. I appreciate everyone being on here and watching the recording. But there were 3 different topics that we were planning to cover. So if if Corey is not able to jump on today, I promise you that we will reschedule and we will make sure that we cover all three of the topics. The one of the topics that I already discussed were audits, and how I truly believe that for all CEOs and founders, even if you've already started integrating AI, doing an audit would be a very wise move, and doing it actually, scheduling it, securing it before the end of the year would be really awesome for you, because you may have some incentives that I know about that could entice you to get that taken care of, at least securing it by the end of the year, and then committing to doing it in the first quarter, because you want to be able to hit the ground running. So even if you've already started, integrating AI, you could choose to do an audit to again see where are you and where do you need to be, looking at all the different variables as far as efficiency and ways to meet your goals. And the other topic that we're planning to discuss with Corey has to do with regulatory compliance. And the third topic was just the general, just AI. And like I said, if you order his book from Amazon, which I highly recommend, this actually walks you through step by step what you should be paying attention to when you're looking at either, looking at what you have right now, looking at what you should be adding. But there's so much hype and so much noise in the marketplace that you really, really, really would be doing your company a disservice if you didn't take advantage of, a professional cybersecurity service at a fraction of the cost, so that you can make sure that everything is functioning, to the best of its ability. And in some cases, some of the companies that they have, that the AI is efficient, you may not have to change anything, but you won't know, obviously, until you get an audit. And the other thing that that I wanted to mention, and many of you have probably seen this in recent reports, there's a staggering number of failed, as they're calling them, failed AI projects. And I started out by telling you one very poignant example. But, depending on which research report you're reading, some of them estimate that it's between 80 and 90% of, some of the failed projects. And, that's, some may say that's a bit alarming, but it's to be expected because of the fact that the approach is different, right? The approach for some companies may be just to look at something, look at a trend, and then try it. Other companies may be a little bit more reserved. They may follow that, that process, like I was saying, as far as making sure that you get a team of people like Corey's company, a CAAS, CISO as a service, and really approach it from the standpoint of, okay, this is what we want to accomplish. This is where we are, and these are the steps we need to take to get to where we want to be. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but like I said, Corey and I will be rescheduling this as soon as possible. Look for more happy executive pop-ups. I'm really excited about interviewing more CEOs and founders to really glean their insights. Because what I find is obviously, the more CEOs and founders that we speak with and that you can hear, you know, with your own ears, uh, I believe that that will help you because, 2026 is going to be an epic year. And we want to make sure, from the happy executive standpoint, that everyone is set up for success that chooses to have that success in 2026. And, our core mission is really to help more CEOs and founders to be heard, to get seen, and to earn more revenue and recognition. Now, sneak peek, just so you know what's going on. We are going to be announcing a separate track in one of our offers for other leaders that, I'd say like mid to upper level, C-level executives that are looking for their next position. There have been so many layoffs. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. So many layoffs from many, many different companies. And I've had several of those leaders that have been laid off come to me to ask if I can help them. So, what we've decided to do, because generally we work with people that either have businesses, are starting businesses, or scaling businesses, okay, and our main point of contact are usually the CEOs and the founders. Now, we are going to be starting a separate track. We've already started it actually with the people that we're working with, but we are going to announce that separate track so that we can help those key leaders to be heard and get seen and find their next level up position. Because I won't go into all the details about that, but with all of the fake job ads, all of the noise in that marketplace, AI as well, it's sometimes a bit overwhelming. And I hear from mid to upper level leaders on a weekly basis. I just got another message yesterday from a mid-level manager who just found out that her last day was today. So there is just a lot of layoffs, a lot of uncertainty, and we do want to be able to help help those leaders also to land their next level up. And the goal, of course, is not to have them settle, because every one of us and anyone that is watching this recording, the intellectual property that you have, that you own, that you manage, no one else can take that from you. Because even if they were able to take that from you, okay, like we've all heard of different odd scenarios where people would steal people's work. Or, there's a very well-known celebrity singer where someone had, had stolen the majority of her life's work. But luckily she got it back. That's awesome. But no one can speak to or really, teach the intellectual property that you have worked for in your career. And that's why I feel strongly about making sure that leaders are heard and seen and earning as much revenue and recognition that they need, because you've worked hard for it. And, yes, your intellectual property should be protected. Absolutely. We have a resource for that. If you're interested, there's someone that I work very closely with that's an IP attorney. But the thing is, yes, you should protect your IP, but you as an individual you're the only one that can really teach what you've learned. No matter what you think, if somebody could, steal one of your white papers or, take some of your frameworks, you develop them, you own those, and it's up to you to manage those. So we just want to make sure that CEOs, founders, leaders are heard and seen by the right audience. In a lot of cases, it's about building your audience. If you don't have one, or if maybe you're looking to break into a new geographical area, maybe you're based in the United States and you're looking to go international, whatever the case is. So I would encourage you to share this live with other CEOs and founders that may be looking to up-level their AI, up-level their automation, or just make things easier in general with their workflows. The next best step, the CTA, would be an audit. So I will make sure that we reschedule with our guest today. I am absolutely positive that there was probably something going on with the technology, because he was really looking forward to being on here. And I'm not sure, hopefully, it was not the technology on my streaming service. I hope not. But regardless of the reason, we will be rescheduling this, and we will, have him dive in. But I'll make sure that I'll ask him to put the link in the comments section of this for his book. It may actually, I think it would be great if you got the book even before you heard what Corey has to say, because then you may have some specific questions based on the helpful information that he has in his book. Okay, so this is Victoria Huff, founder of thehappyexecutive.com. We help founders and CEOs to be heard, to get seen, and to earn more revenue and recognition. Please do share this live if you feel that it would be valuable to some of your colleagues. And I'm always looking for other ideas. If you have a particular situation, you have a hot seat problem, as I like to call it, certainly send me a DM. And if we can schedule that for an upcoming live, we will definitely do that. We're also doing some limited time offers that are available between now and the end of the year if you want to jump on board. If you've wanted to work with us and it just hasn't been the right time, now may be the best time for you. Okay. And especially since, like I said, we're also opening up that track for leaders who either are set to be laid off or they have recently been laid off, so that we can help them to be heard, to get seen, and to find their next level up position. So I will say goodbye for now. Thank you so much for all of your support throughout all of the years. The Happy Executive has been around since 2014, 11 years. So 2026, we'll be celebrating 12. So, and I have all of you to thank for that. Take care, everyone.